I am gently asking you whether you actually need to, right now in this moment, be watching the footage of ICE shooting a woman to death in Minnesota. I will play that video at the end of this video, and I will warn you before I play it in case it is not something that you personally should be watching right now. I think we have to find a balance, especially with a breaking story where everybody's emotions are really high and things feel really, really big and scary and devastating. We have to find that balance about whether or not we are bearing witness in this moment or whether or not we are just intentionally traumatizing ourselves. What we know as of right now is that an ICE agent has killed a woman in Minneapolis and that it has been caught on camera. According to the AP, ICE is saying that this was an act of self-defense. According to the AP, ICE is claiming this is an act of self-defense. The mayor has called it reckless and unnecessary. I really appreciate this footnote to the story from the Associated Press, and I wanted to share it here. Compiling accurate and thorough information on breaking news takes time. Reporters are working to piece together the details from eyewitness accounts, authorities, and other sources. This here, I think, is the point that is important for us right now in this moment as this story is unfolding. We know that the regime is going to use this in an attempt to chill dissent, to make you afraid to go about your business, to make you afraid of interacting with ICE, to make you afraid of protesting and exercising your constitutional rights. The regime is going to use this woman's death that they caused to try and scare you into laying down and submitting. Please understand that has already started. The comment section since this video started breaking earlier this morning are of two different types. One, people who are really, really scared. People who probably should not have watched that video, who are probably watching it on a loop and sharing it with people. And like, that's not helpful in this moment. The second kind of comment I'm seeing an awful lot of is this the catalyst? ICE finally killed an American citizen. Is this the thing that is going to cause people to stand up and exercise their rights and defend themselves against the tyranny of the government, against the tyranny of the American Gestapo? And I was very quick to point out, hey, ICE has shot an awful lot of people in the last year. Many of them were American citizens. I want to point to two cases in particular here because I think they are crucially important in understanding what the regime is going to try to do next. The first case is one I covered pretty extensively a few weeks ago, where a Chicago woman named Marimar Martinez was shot multiple times by ICE. Miraculously, she survived. The story that was all over the news, that was put out by the regime, by Tricia McLaughlin and Kristi Noem, and also by Fox News and all of right-wing corporate media, was that she was a domestic terrorist who drove her vehicle into ICE agents, and an ICE agent shot her in self-defense. She was arrested and charged. And in November of this year, all of the charges were dropped. The case was dismissed. Ms. Martinez did nothing wrong. Not only did footage disprove the claims made by the Border Patrol agent who shot her, the judge called into question whether his testimony was at all truthful. And also there are accusations that DHS destroyed evidence. When this story broke, you heard pure fucking lies from the regime who painted this innocent woman as a terrorist. They completely fabricated the details of what happened. She's an innocent woman who was shot by Border Patrol. They trumped up charges against her. Her rights were trampled on, and all of it ultimately was dismissed. But you don't hear right-wing media talking about what happened at the end of this case, only the beginning, where they were repeating the lies from Kristi Noem and Tricia McLaughlin. I bring up Ms. Martinez's case because what Kristi Noem said today about the woman who was killed by ICE agents in Minnesota is eerily reminiscent of what she was saying about Ms. Martinez. Noem described the incident as an act of domestic terrorism carried out against ICE officers by a woman who attempted to run them over and rammed them with her vehicle. She claims that the officer was acting in self-defense. This is literally a copy pasta of what they said about Ms. Martinez, and it was all lies. Now let's look at another example where ICE agents shot somebody and then falsely claimed that it was in self-defense and tried to trump up charges against them. This is social media creator Richard L.A. His real name is Carlitos Ricardo Parias. He was shot in October in Los Angeles by ICE agents. Much like Ms. Martinez, he was then arrested. ICE claimed it was self-defense, and he was brought up on charges. On December 28th of this year, a federal judge dismissed all of those charges because Richard L.A. did nothing wrong. The narrative plays out very similarly from ICE and DHS. The ICE agents accused Richard L.A. of ramming his car into their vehicles and that they shot him in self-defense. DHS spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said that Richard weaponized his vehicle and began ramming the law enforcement vehicle in an attempt to flee. Fearing for the safety of the public and law enforcement, they followed their training and fired defensive shots. It is worth noting that video footage from the scene disproves the claims of those agents. The case was ultimately dismissed on December 28th because DHS failed to comply with court deadlines. They did not produce evidence, including their refusal to produce body camera footage of those agents from that incident. We are seeing this over and over. Out of control ICE agents who are given deadly weapons and no training, who cannot control their emotions. You can see video after video after video where ICE agents are scared shitless. They're full of anxiety. They don't know how to handle these very intense interactions. They panic. ICE agents are crashing their cars into people, and then in an attempt to cover up their incompetence, they're claiming the person that they hit them. That has happened multiple times. They are engaged in law enforcement operations, but they are not trained, they are not qualified, they are not capable of handling those stressful interactions. And over and over and over again, out of control ICE agents shoot people. And then Tricia McLaughlin and Kristi Noem put out a press release that is just straight up fabrications. They attempt to bring up charges against the people that they victimize, that they shoot, that they ram their car into, and then those charges ultimately come to naught. They're ultimately dropped because there's no foundation for them. And then over and over and over, we see these ICE and Customs and Border Patrol agents being scolded or being questioned by judges about whether their testimony is actually truthful at all. This is the playbook that ICE keeps using over and over again in an attempt to scare you into not standing up for your rights, into not protesting, into not defending our country against the cruelty and illegality of the regime. They want you to feel like they can shoot you, they can get away with it, and then you will go to prison for them being out of control and dysregulated. Thank God we are seeing the courts over and over again be like, no. In both Ms. Martinez and Richard L.A.'s cases, there were substantiated allegations that ICE refused to give these folks access to their attorneys. Their rights were violated in so many different ways. Please understand, we are going to hear more of the same kind of rhetoric from Kristi Noem and Tricia McLaughlin and DHS. They already are claiming that this woman that they killed is responsible for what happened, that ICE agents are the victims who were defending themselves. They are painting regular, everyday Americans as terrorists when they are terrorizing our communities. These are out of control men with weapons who feel that they will never be held accountable to the law. That is the story of what is unfolding right now in Minnesota and all across America. I really want you to think about how the regime is going to use this for their propaganda, how they're going to use this to try to get you to comply, to give up in advance. They want to scare you into submission. This is what they want normalized in this country. They want you to accept this. They want you to submit to this. We have to be responsible in how we choose to respond and organize now, how we regulate our emotions, what we do going forward, what is our next move. Please take care of yourself, but please understand that we have to act in response to this. There's a protest later today in Portland. There are going to be protests all over the country. What's our next move? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to leave the footage here. Please decide whether or not you actually should be watching it.